welcome to Nerd Talk. I'm Pixie.
I'm Sun.
And I'm Pyrosim.
And we haven't done one of these in a couple weeks because I've been in California, and Pyrosim has been moving across the country and getting a grown-up job.
Yay! Oh, it's a job. But it pays a lot of money.
It's a living. So,
And Sen has been playing video games, amongst other many actually interesting things he's been doing.
Yeah,
Hi,
selling
Fox.
uranium
Wait, one
is
that he's going
kinda
to talk
dangerous.
about.
An explosive conversation that was.
that was so much crosstalk.
How you been doing, Sen? What you been up to?
Selling uranium, just the usual.
Nice.
Right?
Like the Russians?
No, less illegal people. Canadians.
Canadians need with uranium.
Something about a nuclear
I make
maple
butt
tree?
jokes with it.
I'd believe it.
I could turn into a maple syrup-themed superhero.
Isn't that just all Canadian superheroes?
Yes.
Dear one listener in Canada, sorry.
I'm not.
Dear
hope
friends
he got
from
that.
America's Hat. Welcome.
Alright. So, Sen, you
So
played
yeah,
a video
we
game.
reviewed a game. Or I reviewed a game, as it were. So
What
this
was your
week,
game?
This week I decided to review Rogue Legacy by Cellar Door Games. This was released on the PC 2 or 3 weeks ago. If you want, you can get this from Steam, where I picked it up from. It's also been a part of the Humble Bundle, and if you want, you can buy it directly from the game maker's website at Rogue Legacy, where for $15 you get a DRM-free copy of the game, as well as a free Steam key for it. Also, Mac and Linux
It was in
versions
a
coming
Humble
soon.
Bundle?
It has been in
This
a Humble
means I
Bundle.
probably own it and don't even realize that I own it. This seems to be an
Nice.
ongoing pernicious problem for me.
Those evil Humble Bundles.
I want to play this game, and I own it, and I
already
didn't
have
realize I owned it.
So, the game in question is a 2D platformer which features, as its number one aspect, permadeath. That's
Oh,
right.
goodness.
If you make a mistake and go and kill yourself, that's it for your character. Goodbye. Thankfully, you get to start again as one of that
Bleh.
character's descendants. Like, immediately, as in there's, no wait whatsoever. The game randomly generates another castle for you, although if you want, you can use the architect character to lock down the previous version of the castle for you. You'll just be only making 60% of the gold you would normally, and you can go right back in. The point of the game is that, yes, while you are dying constantly and that character is going away, the game is randomly generating 3 new characters for you to choose from, and you're able to pull any items and gold that you earned on that last run into the castle to upgrade your home, upgrade your armor, upgrade things about the character. You can get runes which add special abilities to your character. You're getting better all the time, despite the fact that your genetic legacy is dying horribly. Likewise with the
So that's like a weird half-roguelike.
Oh no,
because
it's full roguelike. It's
Well, kind of, except typically in a roguelike, you don't get closer to ascending by grinding.
okay. I guess
like,
that is the difference.
Beating the final boss. There are like RPG elements that you can incorporate into a roguelike with unlockable characters, which is like how the Binding of Isaac does it, but the unlockable characters are not necessarily better than the default character. But it seemed how much do you keep between your characters?
Between the characters, all of your gear is kept, and all of your runes and all of your upgrades. You're not losing any of those when you die. The only thing you're losing is that character's randomly generated class, which there are 8 in the game, and you start the game with 3, and it'll just randomly choose which ones are available each time you hit another character. You also lose the odd collection of traits that get added to each character, some of which are particularly useful, others less so. We'll go over those in just a minute. But any gear or upgrades that you earn, you get to keep when you run back into the castle. So you're not dropping back to the beginning every single time you die. Action-wise, the game is... It's very similar. The closest thing I'd compare it to is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It's very much in that style of leaping around the screen, attacking with your melee weapon. You've got a classification of spell abilities, which are like your axe and dagger throwing abilities. Some of the...
Was Symphony of the Night one of the good ones?
That was one of the fantastic ones. In fact, it's probably the best Castlevania.
X.
Yep. So, yeah, it's a pretty simple-looking game. I mean, it's definitely 16-bit graphics. That said, the character sprites are awesome. I love the fact that when you get a female character, it's pretty much just the same knight with a ponytail added and a different voiceover. There's very little difference between getting the male or female gender. Also, the female characters can have beards, because it doesn't bother to take out that when it randomizes the character's appearance. There is a very if you go to the website, there's a very disturbing clown sprite that appears randomly in the game. It's just an unhappy clown, and it's creepy.
You know, it could be a happy clown, and it would still be creepy.
No,
It's just sort of a property of clowns.
this one's disturbing. It's got just a neutral expression, and it's holding 2 balloons, like, completely nonchalantly. Like, I just have these balloons. Fear them.
I think that's just on one of those, like, things everybody knows. Like, just a generally accepted fact of life is that clowns are creepy.
Right. So, the game, whenever you hit a new generation, whenever you make a new character, you get to pick between 3, and each one of those characters, in addition to having a class randomly assigned to it and a magical weapon assigned to it, you also get a couple random traits. So, some of these can be really good, some of these are terrible, and do nothing but make the game harder if you pick that character. So for instance, you can get Gigantism, which makes your character unusually large. Your hitbox and your swing of your weapon are extended. Cool, right? EDS, your character is very flexible. You can turn around mid-swing to redirect your attacks. Useful. But then we get to ones that are less so, like, being colorblind. The game appears in black and white.
Does color actually contribute to being able to do stuff, though? Or
It helps to be able to see. Nostalgic.
being
The
able
game-
to see and being colorblind are not, like...
It makes
It's
it easier to be able to identify enemies and, like, tell if you've upgraded to a new type of enemy, because the colors would change. Let's see, what are some other ones? Coprolalia? Your character swears when hit and upon death, and it reduces the recovery time from attacks. Baldness. It removes the feathers from your character's helmet, and when you're on the loading screen that goes into the castle, instead of building, it says balding. Like, some of these, not particularly useful, some of them are just fun little jokes. Alzheimer's, the map option is removed from the game as your character forgets where they are.
I like that baldness is not just a genetic trait that affects your hair, it affects your clothing too,
Yeah,
for some
because
reason.
your helmet doesn't have
It's just
the
like,
plumes.
you are really bald.
It's super baldness. It's like a superpower. Anything you put on your head will just become bald.
God, there's one that I found that your character exaggerates, and so anytime my character
This is
took
like a pathological
damage...
liar.
Yeah, I'm trying to find what it's called. It doesn't appear to be listed.
I do know that there was a screenshot going around on Tumblr of a forum post on GameFAQs that was like, what does the gay character trait do in Rogue Legacy? It seems like they're just regular characters. And the one reply was,
are.
exactly.
Oh, there is one difference. It reverses which statue, the knight statue or the maiden statue, gives the chicken leg, the health item, or the mana potion item. But otherwise, doesn't affect the game in the least. The quote under the gay characteristic, if you are a female character, it says you like the ladies. If you are a male character, it says you are a fan of the man. But otherwise, no, doesn't affect your character in the least.
There you go.
Nice.
Yep, I thought that was a nice little addition. One of the funnier ones that does actually affect gameplay.
I'm just very entertained by a fan of the man.
Fan of the man.
Maybe it's like my past as a newspaper
Just makes it
writer who
sound like
loves
you're like a
alliteration and
fascist.
puns, but
Yeah. Oh, hypochondriac. That's what they call. Anytime your character takes a hit,
okay.
the damage appears in enormous numbers over their head. So, like,
okay,
normally
they're
you'd be
whining
getting
about
hit
everything
for,
being worse than it is. I got it.
Yeah, you're getting hit for like 23, but like the number 4,000 pops up over your head.
Okay, that's entertaining.
The characteristics are great, and they make every playthrough just different enough that you want to keep running back in when your character dies. You can have a character with irritable bowel syndrome, which the character just
Did
occasionally
you just say
farts.
irritable butt syndrome?
Same thing, really. Your character just occasionally farts. Just it has no effect whatsoever
Not
on the
my butt
gameplay.
before it's had its morning coffee.
Butt coffee.
I can't even.
Electrophobia, which is fear of chickens, mind you. So normally in the game, when your health item drops, it's a little chicken wing that hits the ground. Instead, when a character has this phobia, instead of a chicken leg, a little, like, running chicken enemy falls, and you have to kill it in order to get the healing item.
So it's like spiders or something. It's just like, kill it.
Chicken! You can have dyslexia, which jumbles all of the dialogue and text that appears in the game.
Does that
the
jumble like
absolute
the
worst
damage
one.
numbers too? Or
Yes, everything.
you take 23 hit points in damage, it shows up 32, and you're just like, what?
But oddly enough, the game is
Like,
still...
the in-universe conceptualization of that is, oh no, this knife has gone into my arm, and I'm confused about how painful it is.
The thing is, while it may be showing the wrong numbers, you're still taking the proper amount of damage. It's just there to confuse you.
Uh-huh.
It's like the game is just there to screw with you.
No, the absolute worst one is Vertigo, which the game actually describes as Welcome to Barsville, where everything in the world is upside down and left and right are reversed. It is
Oh no,
awful
it's like the
to play.
It's like the
with.
last boss fight in Beyond Good and Evil.
It is
I
so
was about
terrible.
to say that, and I was like, spoilers!
The thing came
So
out 10 years ago.
Beyond Good and
10
Evil.
years ago.
I think that is
okay.
well within the exemption clause.
So yeah, but
Spoiler alert for
every time
King
you go
Kong,
through the
the
castle-
monkey dies.
every time you go into the castle, it regenerates all of the rooms, all of the loot resets, all of the enemies reset, and effectively you have to go through the bosses of each of the 4 areas to unlock the final door, which gets you to the last boss. And it's not possible to do on one playthrough. From what I've seen, it's just too hard. There are some classes that make it easier, so for instance, if you're good at not getting hit, playing as the ninja class, you don't have as much health, but you do an insane amount of damage with each attack. You can play as the barbarian, which gets more health, and actually screams Fus Rada when you use his special ability. So there's a ton of meta jokes in this from other games. Yeah, overall, I'm enjoying the heck out of this. I played about 3.5 hours of it this afternoon and really did not feel like it. There are some games that you just chug through where you're very aware of how much time is flying by. This is not one of them. You can go through a dozen playthroughs of this and not feel like any time has really passed. Likewise, it's one of the
It
few
might not
games
have
where
passed
even
if
when
you're bad at it.
well, even when my characters die, I never found myself getting frustrated at this. It was, oh, the character's dead, but I made that much money, so I'm gonna go upgrade some stuff.
Right, roguelikes are a real difficult genre to make because they're very compelling insofar as you can spend hours and hours and hours on them because there's real huge consequences for getting items or taking hits, because this matters in terms of what time you have to put in, but normally you feel bad about it because if you die, you get nothing. This is the end. Whereas Rogue Legacy seems to bring some more progression to that, so you get most of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, this game is just exceptionally well put together, and I've had nothing but fun with it. It has a great, 8-bit soundtrack that you can play in the game whenever you find a jukebox. If you have a chance to get the copy of it that comes with the soundtrack, totally do it.
Have you managed to kill the final boss?
I have not even seen him yet.
And how did you acquire it? Did you get it through a Humble Bundle?
I went through Steam. I picked it up a couple days ago and have just been enjoying the heck out of it.
Remember how much it costs?
It is currently $15 on Steam, but on that same level, you should probably hold off picking it up because I keep seeing rumors online that summer sale is starting soon.
You are probably right about that.
In fact, the latest set
I'm
of
hoping
rumors
to
I
pick up-
heard sounded like the 11th.
Jeez, the day after this is being recorded.
Yeah, my wallet's
man.
already terrified.
I just got a big paycheck in. This is gonna be dangerous.
Pyro!
Yeah, I'm waiting to see the flood.
I am very interested in acquiring the Gods and Kings expansion to Civilization 5, which is just in prime territory for deep Steam discounts, because the Brave New World expansion just came out, and so this is an expansion for a core game I already have that ties into a new expansion that's brand new that probably won't go on sale. So, selling this one will incentivize people to buy Brave New World. I can get it in super cheap.
Man, I
Right.
tried to play Civilization 5, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah,
Takes
I
way too
also
long
tried
and it
Civilization 5.
bored me to tears.
It takes so long, which is...
Which is part of what made it so
feel like-
dang boring. I feel like if maybe it was shorter, maybe I could feel
I feel
myself
like if
investing
you
that
could
much.
go
but
into a TARDIS and play Civilization 5 in an alternate time dimension, it would be a great game. In the real world, it might suck.
So why do you want the sex pack for it?
You know, I have had some amount of fun with Civilization 5. There's settings you can tweak to optimize how much time it takes. If you play it on the faster speed modes, I've gotten plenty of enjoyment out of it.
Whatever. Alright, so, shall we open my
Rogue
box?
Legacy is a recommended.
Rogue Legacy
We'll move on to the box.
Rogue Legacy is totally recommended for the $15 price tag. It is a lot of fun. If you have any kind
Pixie's
of
gonna
gaming
show us her
nostalgia,
box.
pick it up. Oh, it's that kind of show, huh?
Well, we did get on video
This
for
is
it.
not FCC friendly. Yeah, that's why we put on the video, so Pixie can show you her box and what's inside it.
It's made of cardboard and covered in tape.
It's a cardboard box.
I'm
Anywho,
less
so,
A
impressed.
very expensive cardboard box that the delivery service left on her doorstep without requesting a signature.
I think I'm gonna go get that popcorn.
anywho, so, hooray, glad to hear that you enjoyed Rogue Legacy. I've got a box cutter and a box. We're gonna open the box and see what's in it.
Two great tastes that go great together.
Like peanut butter and chocolate.
Exactly. You got your peanut butter in my chocolate. You got your chocolate in my peanut butter. Officer Reese's, what seems to be the problem here? Blam, blam.
Quantity.
So, what did you actually purchase, Pixie?
I got. Oh my god, the fake wood on the box is reminding me so much of early iOS. A Samsung Galaxy S4. We're gonna do an
It's
unboxing.
coming like a Jenga box?
It's like this is totally cardboard, but it like has this fake wood grain on it. But like you can see, this is totally like paper, whatever.
It's a
Totally should-
skeuomorphism. It's like a weird real-world skeuomorphism.
So, do we want to say what happened to your previous phone?
It's right here.
Oh. We just
Nothing
decided to
Whatsoever
upgrade.
has happened to it.
I was still using it when you texted me like half an hour ago.
Meh.
So I had this iPhone here, 4S.
Fortunately, smartphones actually continue to be useful after you stop using them with phone service.
And
There's still cameras, and you can still use them on
iPod,
Wi-Fi.
basically.
And an iPod.
Alright, so I'm gonna take the tape off the side here, this side here, and we'll see what's in it. But yeah, basically I've had iPhones for the last 4-ish years, I want to say. 4 or 5 years? I want to say 4.5 years. I got my first smartphone was an iPhone 3GS, and then I went to a 4S, and now I'm doing this because this came out, and Pyro, you can probably explain why this is important. Well,
What this is a Galaxy S4 Google Play edition. And the history of Android phones is a little weird because obviously if you're buying a phone, you're probably buying it from a carrier, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, or T-Mobile. And for a long, long time, all of those carriers have been just completely evil, cackling demons who just like sit in an armchair in like an underwater base of evil where they stroke a white cat and
Oh my God, it's so
cackle
light.
at their evil deeds.
like it's huge in comparison
And-
to the iPhone 4S, like, and it's a lot thinner. And this is way lighter. Like this is freaking heavy, but I like this already. This is like nothing.
I'm really glad you mentioned the
the-
product, because I was kind of spacing out for a second and just getting snippets of that. It sounded terrible.
Haha. Okay, so the importance of this being a Google Play product is
The carriers have a habit of limiting you in what software you can put on your phone. In terms of restricting just like the App Store / the Google Play Store, they tend to prevent you from installing tethering apps that would let you connect a computer to a cellular data connection. And more interesting to me as like a crazy weird nerd person is that they'll prevent you from changing the operating system on the phone, and they'll do that because they pre-install like super ugly bloatware. Like I have a Droid DNA that's locked down by Verizon, and it has the Zappos app pre-installed on it, so that
Like
maybe
shoe
you'll be
store.
like the shoe store, and it is impossible
Just
to
checking.
uninstall the Zappos app.
or like
Zappos
the
paid Verizon
newsstand
money.
on iOS, where I've actually got like a whole bunch of these things. iPhone in a folder called "Things I Never Use."
Yep.
Among them are the Game Center, Stocks, Compass, Reminders, Passbook, and voice memos.
So it is sort of a deliberate decision motivated by money by the carriers to not let you uninstall those, just in
There's
case you
6
happen to be
programs I
bored
just
on
mentioned.
a train and scrolling through your app list, and you're like, yeah, I guess I'll buy something from Zappos because it's here. And
That is dumb.
I don't like that because I'm a software developer and I want to do all kinds of crazy things with my phone, and I want to support the market that allows everybody to have phones that they can do whatever they want with. Because I never would have become a software developer if it were not for the fact that using a PC, I was just able to start doing things without getting any permission from Verizon or Apple.
Sounds like
and
PC
so
and,
that's the nice
Nike
thing
need
about
to
the
get
Google
together.
Play
Like
Edition.
PC, just do it.
You know, that's kind of right. The downside to this is that how much did you pay for this phone, Pixie?
Let's see. This is just a packing slip. I don't think it's got a price thing on here. Like $700, including the 2-day shipping.
700, like 750 after tax, I think.
Yeah.
So,
So, which was
extravagantly expensive.
Which was maybe $100 more than I paid for this thing without the 2-year contract.
That amount of money is what phones actually cost to manufacture? Sort of. Typically, you'll buy a phone from a carrier and it will cost like $650 for the carrier, and they will make you pay $200 for it, and they will inflate the cost of your service such that over 24 months,
I still can't figure out the like fake wood grain thing. This is where I tore off the tape. Like the bottom doesn't have it. It's just like the side and the top. Sorry, I'm still looks weird to me.
no, absolutely. This is your feature.
No, yeah, you
I'm
can
just
go on
talking while
about
you open
politics.
your
That's
box
cool.
and present all the pretty pictures to the camera. So we were sort of deciding between two phones when we chose to get the S4 Play Edition, because there's another Play Edition, and these are kind of new. Like, the fact that you can buy one of these that is not restricted by a carrier is a pretty recent development.
Yeah,
And
this
it's
just
the S4 Play Edition
came out while I was in California
and the
during that.
HTC One Play Edition.
So both had the draw of the Google Play Store backing.
Right.
I think we went in on this one because camera, right?
We did go in on them because of the camera. And that's actually like a weird tangled thing, because the camera on the HTC One is a much, much lower resolution than the camera on the S4, and that is potentially a good thing, because it is actually a much larger sensor, and the size of the individual pixels on the One are just physically bigger. The area that light can hit to trigger a pixel is bigger. And so, for like video, that tends to produce better results. But
It's
for
all just
still
made out of
photos,
recycled
it
paper.
tends
It's
to
all got a
produce worse
brown
results.
tinge to it on like the little health and safety warranty guide and the quick reference guide that are passing for a user's manual. It's just all this like off brown color.
It's kind of weird that it even comes with that stuff, because boy, I just want the hardware.
Packaging. No, because
The-
it's all like cardboard box brown in here, except for the cables. Other stuff. Should I let you go on that?
Whatever.
Because I mean, all I'm gonna do is like
The
lift
HTC
this
One
box.
is also slightly older, which is why it doesn't necessarily perform quite as well in the camera department as the S4. Even though the S4 is using kind of the brute force method of just increasing the pixel count, and HTC One is kind of doing a new and a different thing. It turned out that the performance was kind of comparable, but the S4 will probably turn out better in the end, according to just comparisons and research and actually taking a bunch of photos and comparing them side by side that's been done by other tech journalists.
So underneath and these are like kind of merged together. I can't like unstick that, but underneath the compartment where the phone was, we have other stuff. So I've got a headset, and it looks like that has a line-in mic. These might just be earbuds. I don't know.
They definitely will have a microphone on them.
Yep, there's line-in mic, volume control
Woo.
switch here.
I assume that it just clicks for one button.
So this one's on the right side. The iPhone inline mic things are on the left. I've got another button.
surprising
I've got
and
another
kind of
button here. I don't
non-standard.
know what that does. Maybe it's like an on-off thing, like to pick up and end calls. There's like a tiny. I wish the autofocus would pick up that this is what I want you to look at instead of my pretty face. But there's like the plus minus here for volume, and then another button just underneath it that's just got 2 dots on it. So it's like you can like feel along it for it, and I suspect that is sort of picking up and ending calls. So
I think so.
decent amount of
I
length
had a
here.
pair
It's like
of Bose
it's big. I can't even fit it in frame.
H2 IE2 eyes. MIE2 eyes is what they were. And they were designed for iPhone, and they had the 3 buttons on the cord as well as the microphone.
I've got a
But that was at a
set
time
of-
when Android was not smart enough to use all 3 buttons and only could use
I've
the
got
one.
a set of Skull
in the middle.
Candy
It was dumb.
earbuds here with a line-in mic, and like I said, this one has the controls on the left, and it is basically just like rock back and forth, plus minus, and it like clicks in if you want to pick up and end calls instead of having a separate button.
Huh.
So for reference, I just happen to have that here because I was on a phone call with that just before this podcast started. So we've got the little reference books. It's all done on this weird like, this looks like recycled paper because it's all like very brown. I've got the little replacement earbud cover
I assume
things.
it's environmentally friendly?
Maybe. I don't see anything on here that is actually confirming to me that this is recycled paper. I'm just getting that impression.
It's possible that it's a marketing gimmick. It's
Yeah.
like people will think this is recycled paper.
Yeah, that could be. I don't know. I don't see any actual.
What was wrong with your iPhone that sort of had you dissatisfied with it at the time?
The battery sucks. In fact, it was at a full charge, and then I had a brief, like maybe half-hour phone call with you. And other than that, I haven't really been using it except to send about 2 text messages, and I'm already down to 72%. I like have to keep it plugged into something at all times. So that's kind of nutty. But among the other 6 programs that I'm not allowed to delete because they're bloatware, and this thing like now that I've held this thing seems unreasonably heavy.
It's the trade-off for not having metal and instead having a lot of plastic
Yeah,
in the
this is-
casing.
this is very
that the plastic
light.
doesn't feel fancy, but it weighs a lot less.
Yeah, I'm totally down for the weighing a lot less thing. And also, I've dropped this thing on my foot too many times. But, no, we'll get to this. It's a trooper, but I'm tickled pink. I've opened up the back of the little setup guide. There is a page here for notes. I have no idea what these notes could possibly be.
You gotta imagine the person who carries around the setup guide for their phone with them and just, like, takes notes in it.
Like your grocery list. I assume you're supposed to, like, write down your serial number so you don't have to keep this piece of the box with it on it. I assume. Let's see what else is in here. Wall charger! USB port here. Goes in an outlet. America.
Woo.
I've got a USB cable. And this end is... Help me out here. Is that mini? Micro.
That's micro.
Yeah. I can never
The
remember the
existence
difference.
of both mini and micro USB infuriates me because they're electrically compatible. Like, it's the same 4 wires, and they carry the same voltages on them. It's just slightly different sizes and shapes. And they're not even very different sizes and shapes.
This is why I
They're
have
very
problems
similar.
distinguishing the two.
It's super dumb.
Okay, so there we go. And a battery. This would probably also explain why this thing is
Hooray
so
for
light,
batteries.
because this is a hollow shell with
Replaceable
no
batteries.
battery in it.
Oh, yeah, that would also have a huge impact on its weight. Batteries are the heaviest thing
But
in
this
the phone.
thing, I can't get at the battery, so battery starts to
If
crap
it gets
out.
old, like lithium batteries do, you can replace it.
Alright, now I gotta figure all this out.
You can actually replace a couple of things in this phone that you couldn't replace in the iPhone 4S. The other main complaint that you had about your 4S, that it did not have enough storage.
For serious. And you can see on the... Oh, it doesn't show on the back. But this is a 16 gig, I think, of which maybe 14 gigs is actually usable. Because remember, bloatware and stuff. So yeah, this has like 14 gigs of usable space, and that's it. And at the time that I got it, that was great, but over the like 2 years or so that I've had it, or maybe it was only a year and a half, I don't remember, but over the year and change that I've had it, you install more and more apps, you take more and more pictures, you know, are using it, and stuff ends up on here. I get more music, and that limitation became such a hindrance that I had to be like, okay, I have to distill what music I really absolutely have to have on here, and I have to figure out what apps I'm actually using every day, and so that was kind of a pest. I am trying to pop this back cover off. I don't want to force it, but there we go. It's a very weird pop noise now that we've got the back off. But yeah, this is very, very
I'm
thin
not a fan
plastic.
mostly of those attachment systems that just sort of snap together.
Yeah,
I like things that have a little more structure to them, but
like a little piece
I guess
that
you're not
like
opening
clicks
it
in.
very often.
It's true. All right, so we are going to have to deal with the fact that the SIM card is on the micro SIM is stuck in a door here that requires a little tool to open. By which I mean we're totally gonna grab you know what? What do I know?
I am a little surprised if there is not a SIM removal tool included. Well, I guess no, there won't be.
I have shown you
Many phones,
exactly
like,
what was in this box. That is it. We're done.
Uh-huh.
Are you referring to included
We
with
will
the
have to
iPhone?
improvise a SIM removal tool. Oh, no, we've talked about that. They were included with the iPhone once and then stopped being included
So
with
that
the
you
iPhone.
had to go to the store. So yeah.
Or had to use a toothpick.
Ah, that's right, toothpick. I was like, I've got these very small nails here, but that's probably a bad idea. And paper clips and all
Eh,
my
not a terrible idea.
assortment of office supplies. So yeah, there's that. Are we gonna try and get this thing fired up on the air, or should we talk about much ado about nothing?
Hey Jeff, you're going somewhere?
Yeah, I do have to get going.
Okay.
You want to just bail?
Yeah, I'm gonna head out while you guys do much ado about nothing. I will talk to you both later.
All right. Thanks
Okay,
for joining
thanks
us,
for being
then.
on.
No problem. I'll chat with you later. Have a good show.
Take care.
Yep. So, if we're not keeping Jeff when he has someplace to be, then I think that we should go the distance and try and get this thing actually running.
Fantabulous. I will try and acquire a. Just a moment.
In the meantime, I will talk to you, listener, about this Nintendo temporarily blocking Smash Bros. Melee at EVO thing. I know about from Twitter, but not like in super detail myself. The gist of it is that, at some point there was some stream for Smash Bros. Melee at EVO, and Nintendo was like, hey, you can't do that. You gotta not stream our game. And then people flipped their lids. They were unhappy about this, and for good reason. Like, if you can't stream EVO is not the big, interesting, important thing that it is, so you lose a lot if you can't stream the games. And Melee is kind of a weird game to be trying to wield this leverage over EVO because it's got a lot of randomness in it, and so you can't make it like this ultra skill-based game like the other fighting games you'd see at EVO, like, I don't know, I'm not our fighting games editor, Sen is, but like MK9 would be a real skill-based fighting game that would go to the top of EVO, and Melee is not quite like that. So Nevertheless, people like it and flipped their lids, and then Nintendo caved and was like, "Oh,
Either that
wait,
or my
sorry,
domicile
that was
is
a
on
real
fire."
dumb thing we said."
What real dumb thing we said?
What's on fire?
I smell smoke. Either someone's cooking or my domicile is on fire. I'm going with someone who's cooking poorly.
It's probably from over here, going through my smell microphone. Man, why haven't we gotten those yet? We should have smell microphones.
We really shouldn't, because... Okay, so... I don't know how I'm supposed to do this. Like, do I just stab at it?
Yeah, you just totally just stick it in the hole and you just jab it.
Yeah.
Jab it until you get what you want.
This isn't working. I don't think I have a... Like, the narrow part of this toothpick only goes so far, and then it becomes thicker. So, I don't think the toothpick is going to do it.
Yeah. If you have a thin tack, even if it's pointy, that's fine, because it's just a piece of metal inside there that's a lever. You're not going to damage anything.
I suspect this might be too thick, actually.
Like a thumbtack would probably be alright if it was long enough. Which probably wouldn't be.
Let's find out. Do science to it.
And it will weirdly require a lot of pressure.
I was hypothesizing...
Like you just...
Well, yeah, but I was terrified that, I'm going to jab this piece of wood in there and then it's going to break off and get stuck.
Uh-huh. There's nothing to damage at that part. You might get something stuck in, but that won't really be a catastrophe.
Oh, wait, I should turn this off. But the door came open a little bit. It's enough to get my phone to yell at me that there's no
If the door
SIM
came
card.
open a little bit, that's all it's supposed to do. You just jam at the hole until it pops open big enough for you to grab the tray, and then you pull the tray out.
I'm back in. I don't know how I get it to grabbable length because I jab at it and it comes out a little bit, and then I try and grab it and then it goes back in. Stupid improv.
It's probably got two states, like once you've pushed the lever far enough, it'll stick out and not slide back in.
Open, you confounded thing. It's gonna be a long piece to edit. Because, yeah, every time I try and grab it, it pops back in. I can push it in here, comes open, if you can see that. Pull the tack
Yep.
out, it's sticking out the side a little. And, yeah, my attempts to grab it cause it to go right back in. I don't know if I need to grab it with tweezers
You
or
need to
something.
grow a third hand, and...
I don't know if I should try grabbing it with tweezers or something, because it's sticking out on the side there.
Yeah, tweezers will probably work.
I have these things. I'm getting it to scrape the shit out of the side here. I'm leaving scratches, but I'm not actually getting the door to come in. Nope, just goes right back in. I don't know that we can do this, Pyro. I think we might actually need...
Don't worry about the about the show. We can just edit this part out, and I can do the editing.
Alright, well, I'm going to then navigate away from my camera so that I can open up a Google window so that I can figure out how to do this.
Cool.
Because I have quite literally shown you everything that was in that box. I am going to try and hunt down a means to remove this thing. Where it's located. Clip, lightly. Pull the tray out the rest of the way with your fingers. Yeah, I've got nothing that actually... Get over here. Okay, so my casual
And they make the
Googling
holes
tells me...
really thin, and
What were you saying?
they make the holes really thin and really deep, and require a lot of pressure because they want you to have to use the proper tool.
But screw them.
But screw them. It is possible to figure out how to do it without the proper tool. I have done it.
I got it. I just used the thumbtack. I don't know why I didn't think of that before.
Yay! Got there.
Alright. Crap. This tiny little thing. All that fuss for this tiny little thing. I guess I'll put the door back in.
So small. Yep.
Set this sucker back in its box. There we go. Alright. Now I have to put the SIM card in. Which goes over here. Oh, that's a micro SD. Here we go. That's where the SIM card goes. And that pops into place. I should go dig up my tiny SD card. Here we go. 64 gigabyte micro SD card. I wish you could see what the hell I was doing, but SIM card goes in there. And I'm gonna open this up, hang on to the adapter, we're gonna take a tiny little micro SD card and slip it in here. Here we go. Trying to do this at an odd angle, but bear with me. There we go. I think that clicked into place. Yeah, that's not coming out. So both the SIM card and the micro SD card are inside. Now we put the battery in,
Woo!
which I will need to remove from this plastic sheath. Which will be easiest.
So the HTC One by default comes with a 64 gigabyte internal memory and does not have a micro SD card slot.
This is another reason we went with this one.
S4 Play Edition is... I'm not sure if it is 16 or 8 internal. I'll look that up. But regardless, it has at least 8 gigabytes of internal memory, and then can be expanded with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card, and probably larger ones in the future, and therefore 16 internal. So that turns out to be 80 gigabytes once we put in this 64 gigabyte SD card, and then could swap to 128 later if we feel like it.
Alright, so we've got this in here. Now I guess we should charge
Once
it.
prices on memory go down, like they always do.
Should probably charge this.
Fun fact about lithium batteries, they claim all the time that there's like some sort of memory effect and it matters how you use them in their initial cycles. That is not actually the case. I'm saying this to the audience, not necessarily to Pixie, because she already knows, but
For real, it certainly didn't help my
But-
iPhone. Well,
it
all
is
these-
weird how pernicious and persistent that myth is. I've seen it in official documentation, and there's just no truth to it.
The reason for that, and we know this isn't true because you want to be able to put your kids like Nintendo 3DS or something, wrap the present, throw it under the tree, and let them open it on Christmas Day and play with it right away. It's not going to be a full charge, certainly, but it's going to have a charge.
Ideally, they will have around a 30% charge, which is the level at which lithium batteries age the slowest. And the factor there is not really anything to do with charge memory or anything, but just time has a bad effect on lithium batteries, and time has the least effect when lithium batteries are hanging around 30% charge.
So the thing with that is, there's going to be some charge to it. The thing with that is they want you to fully charge it so that you don't like take it out and play with it and then go, hey, this thing has a sucky battery because you made a dumb assumption because you didn't charge the thing. Right out of the box, I just bought it and it doesn't work. I assume it's this consumer is dumb precaution. That is my personal
That makes perfect sense.
2 cents on it. Alright, so I am, however, for giggles, going to charge the battery on my old phone. Alright, so moment of truth, do we turn this thing on?
Turn it on.
The little power icon over here. See, this is a big switch for me because I've never used an Android device. It used to be a recurring joke that I could not snoop through my boyfriend's phone because I wouldn't know how. I would not do that because that would be a scummy thing to do, but the running gag was that. So I'm gonna go with this button on the side for 200, Alex. Little
I think
vibrate.
that's probably right.
And it says Google.
And when it actually does its pretty little boot animation, it will not scream at you, droid, at the top of its lungs, in just like the most annoying fashion possible, like my
English.
HTC DNA does.
I have 3 options: United Kingdom English, United States English, and Spanish. Espanol. So we're gonna go with United States English to start. Okay, so I've got two
Did you
little...
get home most recently in a car or a lorry?
That would be a great way to set up the things, actually. So
It's
there's
like
2
in
buttons here.
first-person shooters where they ask you to look at the sky just to see if you like inverted controls or not.
This is where it's asking me to pick a Wi-Fi network. But so down here it's got 2 buttons. Like this one, it's like a little arrow going back, and this one, which is like the top of a letterhead with like some lines on it. I'm gonna assume that's like options, and the other one is like a go back thing. Those are purely assumptions based on nothing more than intuition. I am going to skip picking Wi-Fi because I don't know the gibberish gobbledygook that is my password off the top of my head, and I shouldn't. So, my autofocus has gotten all screwy. So I'm going to be blurry for a second. I might incur extra carrier data charges. That is fine. I assumed that. I do have a Google account, so it's having me set up my Google thing. One thing I'm probably going to miss from my iPhone is all of the shortcuts that I had, where I could hit the @ key twice and it would autofill in my email address because I got sick of typing it out. I hope I remember my Google account password. It's very weird getting like a vibration.
You are correct.
I'm getting a vibration feedback while I type on each of the keys.
You are correct that the left button there is for bringing up options. I probably usually call it the menu button, although I believe that's what The Verge calls the hamburger button, because it's like 3 horizontal lines, so it's like a bun and meat in
Okay,
the middle
the
and
keyboard
then a
is
bun.
slightly different.
And I believe Google calls it the hot dog button internally.
Just open up a random note on the iPhone. You've got like your QWERTY keyboard, and you're not going to be able to see any of this clearly. And if I hit Shift, I guess the keyboard looks the same all the time. It's like always capitals, and like if you hit Shift, it just lights up the little Shift key. That's how you know it's going to capitalize these things. On here, like they are always lowercase unless you hit Shift, and then they turn into uppercase letters on the keys themselves. So that's a little bit interesting. I've gotten
Seems like it
myself away
probably
from
makes
here.
sense that when you push a button, it makes the letter appear that looks like what was on the button at the time you pushed it.
There we go. By signing in, I am agreeing to the terms of service. There's a little check mark box that says, keep me up to date with news and offers from Google Play. I probably don't want that, so hit OK. Signing in. This can take a few minutes. So, I am waiting on that.
Getting all activated.
Backup and restore. Use your Google account to back up your apps, settings such as bookmarks and Wi-Fi passwords, and other data. If you previously backed up your account, you can restore it to this phone now. So there's 2 pre-checked
You
boxes.
just leave both of them checked.
That says, restore from my Google account to this phone, and keep this phone backed up with my Google account. So...
It's a little non-intuitive that you won't have any Android backups on your Google account, but it does have a checkbox to be like, yeah, go ahead and restore nothing to me. So it doesn't actually have any effect, but yeah.
Use Wi-Fi and mobile network location. So let apps estimate your location. Let Google Apps access your location. I assume this is so that I can use location-based services.
Yep.
So
This is to use the...
done.
What's it called?
This is actually a lot
Skyhook,
easier. The setup
Wi-Fi-based.
The setup for my iPhones have always taken like at least 5 minutes, and then I've, come home and backed them up with all my stuff on it, but the actual setup process of like putting all my keyboards and stuff. So, okay, so this is my home screen. This is interesting.
Woo!
I can put my favorite apps here. See, all your apps touch the circle. Okay, which circle? This one? Okay, whoa, that's a lot of things. Okay, so I'm getting a walkthrough tutorial thing here. I would love to do this together, but I'm not sure how you and I are both going to be able to see. So I do have little rocking buttons here for volume control. So that was another thing that I really loved about my iPhone, is that I have these plus-minus buttons on the side here. Another cool thing about the iPhone is that I can turn my phone to the side and use those as shutter buttons when taking pictures. I am probably going to be disappointed that that is not a feature here. Okay, so...
That will be... I'm pretty confident that you'll be able to find a way to make that work. It might not be true in the stock camera app, but the nice thing about Android over iOS is that you can install alternate camera apps, as well as keyboards that behave differently from the default keyboard and camera app.
It's going to be like, install all the things. Okay, so I've got some icons. I've just added Gmail to the homepage here, because I assume I'm going to want my mail there, because I'm used to having browser, mail, phone, and iPod all down here on my iPhone. So I'm going to go through here. I know this one is texting, just because of my boyfriend using an Android phone. So there's that. The phone icon seems pretty straightforward. I use Chrome as my browser on my desktop, so that I can figure out. Camera, again, seems pretty simple. Blah. The mirrored thing is screwing with me. Anyhow, the big analog clock in the background is kind of
Hangout Toolbox, you can mirror your own video. There's a mirror box in Hangout Toolbox that'll clean that up for you.
So that was screwing with me a little bit. Okay, so apparently this little button, according to the tutorial, told me that this is where all of the apps are. So I have no idea what a whole bunch of this does. Why do I have Gmail and also email on here? That seems kind of silly.
Email allows you to connect to services that use IMAP or POP3 or email protocols. Like, you could connect to Hotmail or Yahoo or any other service, like your corporate email if you worked for some evil corporate overlord.
The idea of
Gmail is Gmail.
Gmail is awesome. My university actually switched us to Gmail later in my first or second year, so that was pretty cool. What is the difference between messaging and Messenger here?
Messenger is probably the Google Plus huddle thing. Does it have a red icon?
Yes. This red looks like a little
and
speech bubble with a plus sign.
is SMS.
So,
Google Plus Huddle is like a terrible product that I would never use in light of the fact that you could just use Hangouts. It's probably a thing that Google is going to discontinue fairly quickly.
Okay, settings I should probably have up front here. Can I just move these around? Cool. Okay, I'm figuring this out slowly.
Woo, adventure.
I don't know what this is. Oh, this is a folder. It's labeled Google. Okay. I guess that means I don't need the other thing here, because I can just have all my Google stuff right there. Notice how Messenger is not in here. On the default folder. It has Gmail, Google+.
The marquee feature of Messenger is that it doesn't work on a desktop computer, which is a thing that people wanted for some reason, because BlackBerry Mobile was like that, or BlackBerry Messenger was like that, but I want to be able to use my messaging services on any device.
So is people here my contacts?
Yes.
I had myself in there, just so that Siri knew what to do with me, kind of thing. Alright, so...
Do I see that it came preloaded with an analog clock widget on the home screen?
Yes. Oh, there is a actual physical
Curses
home
to
button.
analog clocks. Analog clocks are the devil.
Hang on, I can tap this, remove. Whoops. There we go, remove. Done.
Boom. Now it's gone.
No analog clock up in this. So, I'm gonna have to go through all my contacts now and fix all this, because there's stuff that's in my Google contacts that I don't actually want on my phone. Like, Sen's ex-girlfriend. Let's just get rid of her, right? No, there's a add to my contacts button here, so what is this in here for if it's not in my contacts? What is this list then? I don't understand.
It might distinguish between Gmail contacts and Google Plus contacts. It's probably circles.
I love how this is another feature I did not have on my iPhone, is predictive text. It had autocorrect, but not
Woo!
actual suggestions. So I find it hilarious that I typed the sentence "new phone," and the first suggestion here is iPhone with phone.
It's its own worst enemy.
Having the
Android supports the competitor.
okay, the little emoticon button here is new, and pushing and holding on this period here to get other kinds of punctuation is also new to me. So that's weird. I have to shift in order to do enter. That's also kind of dumb. You would think you would want to shift and then use this for happy faces. Whatever. Guess I'll hit that and send. I sent a text message for the first time. Yeah. Okay, so I have a physical home button.
Ooh,
That is
achievement
helpful to me
unlocked.
because I'm used to that. Okay. What happens if I hold it? Oh, hang on. Yes.
Waves.
Cool. All right, so apparently I'm being fed.
Yeah, we can just cut this. Go eat.
Okay. Do you want me to just leave this running or what?
Just leave it.
Okay. I'm going to charge this.
Hit stop streaming on OBS if you feel like it.
Okay.
I wouldn't if it was just writing to your disk, but since it's writing to Twitch, you can hit stop. I'll stitch them together.
That's cool. Do you want to leave the hangout running, Pyro? There.
You might have said something and I might have missed it.
Do you want me to leave this hangout running?
Yeah, leave the hangout running.
Okay, so this is... It's not making... I've just plugged it in. It's not making any noise like I'm accustomed to. But I've got a little orange light here. That's it. And it's very, very faint. This thing makes like a little chirp noise that drives me batty when I plug it in, so...
Ah.
Unless you have it in, like... There's a little switch here that I'm going to probably miss. That is, sound on, vibrate, sound on. So...
Yeah, the
Little
do
flip
not
here.
disturb switch I can see being a sad feature to lose.
It's not do not
Probably
disturb.
the
It just
equivalent for that
switches
on
my.
Android is
It
gonna
just
be-
switches to vibrate mode and like doesn't give audio. It's still
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
But, yeah, no, do not disturb. You have to go into settings for and mess with. But so yeah, I'm gonna miss that a little bit. But so unless I had this switched to the vibrate function, it would chirp every time I plugged it in or took the plug out. And then if I had it on vibrate, it would vibrate for that. Kind of annoying. Anywho, so I guess
That
I'll
would also drive me batty.
turn off so we're not wasting stuff. And I'll be back in a little bit. Ken has cheeseburger. It's pretty great. I put
Sup, dog?
I have a cheeseburger and I put peanut butter on it. That's all you missed.
Oh,
Peanut butter. It's awesome on like everything.
butter is fabulous. It's true.
Do you know what else I have to do on this new phone? Set up my calendar with
What's
my
that?
school schedule. Okay, what was that? Why is it blinking?
Huh.
Okay, I can't swipe. to
Those does have a
session
good
home.
network usage monitor.
What's up? Daniel's phone is almost dead. Who has he been talking to?
Say that again?
Daniel's phone is almost dead, he says. I don't like that it's automatically the smiley faces with the nose. I think they're weird. Maybe it's because, cartoon. I'm almost done with this. Gotta redo my lip gloss for consistency for video. Other than that, we should... Phil, give me a second to grab my... Which isn't horribly consuming. This is why I did it. Quick little... See? Quick and easy.
Hooray!
Alright, so I guess I better turn OBS back on? No, I have a... This thing is making weird noises.
Ooh, this means you get to learn about one of the best features of Android. Well, you may already have gotten there. I love the notification tray. Notification tray is great.
I should probably turn the sound off, though, while we're doing this, so I'm not getting wonked the whole time. Oh, the pull-up
Indeed.
from the top thing? Yeah, iOS has that. Okay, so what are we going back to? Me continuing to play with this, or are we going to go into much ado about nothing? Pyro? Okay, I'm going to start get all this. There we go. You can't hear me. Awesome. That sucks. Test manager, performance. What am I looking for? Negative, I'm not finding anything. Unless my folks being in the other room are. Nothing. On my end, anyway.
Oh, I heard you say K. I can hear keyboards.
I don't know
I
what
can
to
hear
do.
a keyboard clacking.
Alright, so, we good?
I suspect, based on background noise, that I could hear you if you talked right now.
I am talking at
We're
this
kinda
present
good.
moment. You are getting a wide latency, it seems.
At
Delatency.
this mo, getting it.
I'm getting you just
Nah,
fine.
this is not intelligible. Let's switch technologies to... I think we should bail on video, you should record local video, and we should get on Mumble and give me a minute to make Mumble work. You might use Windows 8 camera. It's decent.
Pyro, can you hear me?
I heard you as if you were speaking very, very rapidly.
What should I use to record video?
You should use Windows 8 video, or the Windows 8 camera app.
Okay. Should I, fire up Mumble yet? Or... Oh, it looks like Sen already sent us his audio, too.
Yes, he did.
What the hell was I looking for, anyway? Right, camera. I need to remove this dish, if you'll give me a moment. Candy Crush Saga ad on TV. Truly, the world is over. Okay, you want me to try Mumble. I return triumphantly.
Hey, sup?
Is this okay? Continuous audio. Can I jack up the...
My god, you sound amazing after not being able to hear you at all. I
Alright.
can totally hear you.
Does this sound okay?
Yes, you sound fabulous.
Okay. Just checking. I had an embarrassing moment where I opened up 7-Zip instead. Because the icons look very similar. They're both black
Happens
and
to the
white.
best of us.
Okay, I am updating a story that I published earlier today so that I don't get accused of slandering Xbox here. Just saying.
You see...
Yes, this. Share.
Haha. Well, that is better than if it were true. Does not fix the fact that prices are hosed in non-US countries anyways, but by converting simply dollars to pound, or dollars to euros, it's
Did that
the
not
hardware.
work? No, it did not. Wait, yes, it did. Ah, okay. Sorry, I had to fix that.
It's cool.
You emailed me something?
I was putting together a doc of apps that are probably worth buying.
Video mode. Okay, so look great. So do well enough. Thank you. Okay, do I want 4.3 or 16.9?
16.9.
Okay, 1080p, just 720. What do you want?
720.
Okay.
The Lifecam Studio craps out the frame rate if you try and do 1080.
Let's see. This mic fucking focus is... There we go. Alright, I'm gonna try this. Now I'm recording. Alright. Got this going.
Woo.
I have installed Facebook and Twitter. That is as far as I've gotten.
Nice. Those are good places to start.
Google
Nice.
Plus was already on there. So there's that.
Woo.
And I've got a list of the apps that I used in front of me. So there will be that.
Excellent.
So I copied those down. I should have copied down like some of my contact notes too, but whatever. I've still got my phone there. I can still open up my iPhone and look at that data.
Uh-huh.
Things like...
And it...
I save things in like contact info like t-shirt sizes, excuse me, allergies, stuff like that. So I don't like buy a thing for somebody who hates it or in the wrong size or whatever. Me being the conscientious gift giver that I am.
Yep.
I assume I'm using that word 100% on that though. Alright,
I think that's correct.
anywho. So we should probably talk about that movie we saw. It's a shame that Snake can't be here to help us review it and that Sen had to leave, but
Indeed.
we carry on.
We soldier on, indeed. Like Benedict and the other soldier.
I was going for Carry On My Wayward Son reference, but sure, let's do that. Let's do that. Shoehorn that segue in there. So we saw Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing.
Ooh.
How about that?
Based on the original Shakespeare, with mostly the same dialogue.
He changed, like, it's a little bit more tight, so there's some stuff that's been cut, and one line that's been altered, which is for the benefit of it, really, because we don't need anti-Semitism in a modern movie. We really don't.
Not at all.
And I think the way that it was shot helps, like, give some sort of precedent for... It helps to imply a little bit more agency on Hero's behalf. Not a lot, but a little. That she seems to at least be into this situation that she's in when she's, you know, being given away like you would loan somebody a video game or something for a week. But, okay, so Hero's been given just a little bit more, like, of a personality, I would think. Just with the way that this is shot, and the way it's performed, which I think is saying something that you can get something totally different out of reading it than watching it. And you only just started recording.
I started a mumble recording. I assume your Audacity's still been running and
Yes.
mine has been.
Yeah, that's cool. I just got like a little thing in my ear. I sure hope you can't pick up the bass being in the other room. Right, where was it? Right. So Hero, I think, is a little bit of a better character now, and also the Benedict Beatrice thing. They like cut in like some kind of flashback stuff to like a previous liaison, so it doesn't seem like it comes totally out of nowhere with them either. So we should probably maybe give a breakdown for people who aren't familiar with the play.
I think so.
Well, I mean, you grew up as the priest of Shakespeare, so maybe you should take this one. I can go into the actors' bits.
Benedict and Claudio are two soldiers who come back from some war. This particular movie is actually set in this weird anachronistic time period where they have computers and guns. And the one amusing point where that anachronism came up is, I wear my wit by my side, I have it in this sheath. And nominally, in Shakespeare's time, the actor would have a sword. It's like, my wit is this sword. And in the movie, it was just a gun. Pixie was like, that's not a sheath, that's a holster. You deal with it. But so they're back from some non-specific war that would be doubly non-specific if somehow these time periods had to align, but they are lodging at the house of this noble person, a prince, a lord, somebody, that's being played by Agent Coulson from the Avengers, except for real this time, not just somebody that I thought was Coulson. And this lord has 2 daughters, one of whom is older. Actually is, oh man, her name isn't Mary, although Benedict said she should have been named Mary at one point. What's her name?
Shoot, it does start with an M, doesn't it?
I think so. Gotta look it up.
I was totally just reading this, like, the other day, and I'm totally blanking out.
Beatrice. It's Beatrice, and I found that out
Wait,
before
what?
I even looked it up.
Oh, you're thinking of... Never mind, I'm thinking of something else.
So, this lord has 2 daughters, Beatrice and Hero.
Beatrice and Hero are cousins in this.
They're cousins?
Yeah, they're not sisters.
Okay.
That's why
Well,
I'm totally confused as to where you're going with this.
They both live in the house
Because I just read this the other day.
They both live in the household of Leonardo. Mm-hmm. And Claudio and Benedict are just
So
sort of
Hero
lodging
is Leonardo's daughter, and Beatrice is his niece.
Here. Okay.
Just JSYK.
And over the course of the play, Claudio and Benedict wind up getting hooked up with Hero and Beatrice, respectively, by way of wacky hijinks. The family, the relationships aren't quite set up so that these people will get together. Claudio and Hero already are kind of making eyes at each other, but they need a little push to actually get to the part where they get married. And so the family sets up a plot where they, say sneakily in front of Hero, such that she thinks she's overhearing them say that, Claudio is into her, and the same thing with Claudio, overhearing that...
Benedict is into her.
Does this happen twice? Because I feel like they do this with Claudio and Hero, and then they do it again with Benedict and Beatrice.
Okay, so no, the thing opens with them doing, like... I thought they pulled a switcheroo where it was all like, I'm gonna show up to this party and pretend to be you thing, and then... I don't even remember, because...
You're right.
And then she'll be all, like, totally into me, and then you'll get to marry her? That's the impression I got. That was the scheme,
Yes.
the hijinks.
That was the scheme. Okay,
And
so...
then the other hijinks were totally separate.
Yeah, Don Pedro shows up to the mask, disguised as Claudio, and woos Hero. He'll be like, hey, look how suave I am. Me, Don Pedro, who's actually totally Claudio and not Don Pedro. Believe it. And then Hero and Claudio get married. That's a weird thing, thinking back on it.
Yeah.
I didn't actually read this particular play. I've read a fair amount of Shakespeare, but
yeah.
was not familiar with this before seeing the movie.
Read it and then decided to go back and read it again so that I could see how close they were, and they are really close. So the one line they changed is Benedict is all like contemplating the virtues of Beatrice after like he totally overhears Hero and the other chick. This is the M name that I'm reaching for, isn't it?
Margaret?
Yes. And this is who I'm... never mind. So he's sitting there
Margaret,
going...
the
and if
servant lady.
So he's all like, and if I do not love her, then I am a Jew in the original. And so Whedon's film changed it to I am a fool. Same idea, without the anti-Semitism. So, slow clap, I guess? I don't know.
That's definitely an improvement.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the actual changed line. The rest of it's just like they've just cut some stuff that's not really all that terribly interesting or important. Mm-hmm. Faffing about and all.
Now, the plot that I was originally describing is how the family gets Benedict and Beatrice together. And both Benedict and Beatrice start the play being like, marriage is for dummies, and I don't want to get married. And then they fall in love with each other, based in part, apparently, on their common hatred of marriage. It's like, yeah, we have this in common, that we both think marriage is for dummies, now let's get married.
Well, it's both that it's that they're both so like cantankerous. Like
Yeah, they just have real abrasive
yeah.
personalities.
And so they're both super snarky, and they just kind of snark at each other. Only this is a snark of love. I don't know, but so there's that.
And then things fall apart horribly when Don Pedro, Don John,
Yeah,
Don
it's Don
John
John.
is the bad guy, for no particular
But Don
reason.
Pedro isn't in this a whole lot.
No, he's like, you see his face, but he doesn't do anything interesting.
Kind of mills about. Anyhow, so Don John is all like, I'm gonna be a villain? Supposedly it's like he's somebody's bastard son, and if there's a more apparent line of succession, then he's not gonna get any stuff. So he wants the marriage between Claudio and Hero to not happen. And so they set up a scheme that's all like, I'm gonna have 2 of my goons, like, go bow chicka bow wow by over in like Hiro's room or something, and like totally have Claudio think that he's catching Hiro cheating on him, and that'll screw everything up because nobody bothers to verify information. This is a common theme in Shakespearean works.
Claudio is incredibly credulous to be like, hey, you know this person that I've been in a relationship before I left to the war, and then I've been, you know, in a relationship with her since I got back, and we're gonna marry each other next week. I will just assume, based on the merest amount of evidence,
Like
that
totally
she's cheating on
circumstantial.
me.
Like somebody's screwing in that room, and that room is hers, so it must be her.
Right.
So
The natural conclusion, therefore, is not to talk to her about it, but to wait until the wedding day,
and then
and
at
then
the
accuse
altar,
her in front of the town.
yeah, and so she like falls over and like nearly dies from shame or heartbreak. I don't know.
Whatever people die of in Shakespeare.
The actual written dialogue makes it sound more like a slut shaming thing, where like the fact that she's not a virgin is the reason everybody's mad. But like I feel like the performance and the cinematography do better to make it seem like the her cheating on him part is what everybody's pissed about.
Right.
And I'm still a little bit baffled as to why they didn't talk, but apparently whatever. He's spiteful. Anywho.
A
So
lot of Shakespearean conflict
And then the
would be
priest
solved
is
by
like-
people not being quite so crazy.
yeah, and there's a lot of shenanigans in this. So there's further shenanigans where the priest is all like, so, we can totally see if Claudio is on the up and up or whatever, if we pretend that Hiro's actually dead.
And then try and convince him to marry Hiro's identical twin sister that he didn't know about before, as penance.
After we, like, prove her innocence or whatever.
'Cause, yeah, it's okay. Claudio finds out that he has inadvertently caused the, quote, death of Hiro, and then he's going to prove his regret of this by obeying Leonato's wishes. And Leonato says, my wish is for you to marry my other daughter, so that I can have you... Or maybe it was my other niece, but somehow have you in my family, even though you killed my daughter, is my wish. And he's like, fine, I'll marry somebody I have no knowledge of to prove my regret.
And also, you know, he makes him go, like, do, like, a little song and dance, I'm so sorry, grieving number at her obviously empty tomb because she's not dead, so there's that. They go through all that, and then it's all like, I'll pad you this bride, and then, surprise, it's Hiro.
And also Don John has totally fled town and is no longer an issue.
Yeah, it's like, nobody has to do anything to cause any sort of consequence for that. It's just like, oh, he left, okay.
Alright.
And Beatrice and Benedict are all like, but I thought you liked me. But I thought you liked me. So I only liked you because you thought you liked me. And then it was all like, haha, but we caught you like secretly brooding and writing poetry. So we're going to give you the poetry that each of you wrote about each other. And they're all like, oh, well, I guess you do like me. They get married.
So the plotting is a little straightforward and maybe kind of dumb.
It's maybe kind of dumb, but you know what? It's pretty accessible. I wouldn't say this is like, you can't figure out what's going on at all.
It's important to note that Shakespeare is supposed to be accessible, and I was a little apprehensive at the start of this film, when it was the original dialogue, and I didn't actually know that
It's
that
also
was
in
the
black and white
nature.
for some weird reason.
It's also in black and white, and that made it hard for me to distinguish between the characters, just like recognizing faces.
Yeah, because it's like, I identify people based on their hair. Like, which sounds like a very anime thing to say.
That's, if you're reading manga, that's your only recourse.
Yeah, but there it is.
So, it's supposed to be an accessible play, but language has drifted a lot over time because Shakespeare happened a long time ago. So when I was first sitting in this movie, I was a little confused at the first half of the movie because I didn't know all of the characters. And that's the reason why I was unclear on what the plot was to get Claudio and Hiro together. But I feel like sort of around the 1/3 mark, I got my bearings and knew who everybody was. And from then on, the movie did like a really good job of making it easy to understand what was going on.
They really ought to wear name tags or something in these, huh?
Yeah, name tags would help. They should really not change their beards because Benedict had a beard.
Benedict had
and I'm
a
like,
beard in the first part, and then he shaved, and then it was like, one, he looked glorious with the beard. So we were sad
he was
about
all
that.
like,
It's like rugged
he was
and
Gerard
handsome.
Butler in 300 before, and then he was just some chump.
And then, like, two, everybody else is shaved, so you all look the same now, and I can't figure out what's going on there.
But the physical comedy of the real blatant scene of Benedict, quote, eavesdropping on the people who are doing a
And
controlled
Beatrice
leak.
doing that same thing.
And Beatrice
and the
eavesdropping on
synchronicity
the
of
other
it is just
controlled
so
leak,
great.
where she falls down a flight
In
of
that
stairs.
scene, the chick playing Beatrice, like, totally reminds me of Tina Fey for some reason. I was getting some mad Tina Fey vibes.
I was as well. Amy Acker. You know, that is Amy Acker? So that's a Saturday Night Live person. That's like somebody who works with Tina Fey.
There you go. I feel justified a little bit.
Am I wrong about that?
I don't know.
I'm not seeing a Saturday Night Live credit on her Wikipedia page immediately. But yeah, there was falling down a flight of stairs, carrying a laundry basket, and hiding under a counter, and hitting your head on the other side of the counter out of surprise.
Then there's a bit where it's like Solid Snake, this man is not, where he's like outside and he's like hiding his face behind like a small twig with some leaves
I'm
on
hiding
it.
behind a bush, except this bush is literally like one leaf attached to a stick. And I am 6'3", so it's not concealing a lot.
Yeah, so that was that was really funny.
So that was a good
Freaking,
scene.
there's a lot of cast that's returning from other Joss Whedon projects. You've got Nathan Fillion as
the
one of the
comedic relief cop dumbass.
Yeah, write me down an ass. We've already mentioned that Clark Gregg is Leonardo, who is Coulson in the Avengers, so he's well known, but from something else. Freaking Fran Kranz is Claudio, and he played the stoner dude in Cabin in the Woods, so you'll recognize his voice like immediately if you've seen that. You've got Sean Marr as Don John, the villain, who is Simon Tam in Firefly and Serenity.
Amy Acker was not in Saturday Night Live, but she was in Angel and Doghouse. Or in Dollhouse, not Doghouse.
Which is another Joss Whedon property.
Yep.
So yeah, it's pretty crazy. I don't know if there's anybody else I'm missing there, but those are all the big names I could think of.
Having seen the movie, the very first minute, I was a little unclear on using the original dialogue. Like, I've seen adaptations of Romeo and Juliet that use the plotting, but not the text. And obviously, Romeo and Juliet has some very conceptually pure plotting.
And like, yeah, you can like take the structure and like it's very adaptable. Like, look at Warm Bodies is basically just a zombie reskinning of Romeo and Juliet, and they're
Exactly.
very, very obvious about it.
But now that I've seen it, I know that the text is the beautiful thing about Much Ado About Nothing, because it is basically continuous puns that could not bear any changing whatsoever. And the plotting is kind of whatever, like this is just some dumb garbage that we stretched all these puns around. And it is just like 2 hours worth of puns. It's pretty good.
And I love puns, so obviously we love this movie.
Yes, it was very good.
Just like the actors just totally nailed it, and I feel like if you haven't read this particular work by Shakespeare, it will not be inaccessible nor incomprehensible to you if you want to watch the movie. So
The puns are a little hard to decode sometimes if you're
like,
just...
you and I for a bit were like the only ones snickering in the theater. That felt kind of weird because we were the youngest people there. This is like this arts theater, and there's all these like old people, and we're like,
Pixie
this
had
is
a
funny.
cheat sheet that she proposed to the people who were sitting with us, which was me, Pixie, and Snake, about how to decode the puns more quickly. Which is that if a sentence sounds like it's about butt sex,
No, if it sounds
probably is.
I was saying if it sounds like it should be immediately followed by bow chicka bow wow. That's probably
Yes.
the intent. That was what I said.
That is also yes.
Also, Benedick. I mean, that's literally, it's just Italian for good and then the word dick. We're not even hiding it anymore.
He's probably a decent lay, is what Shakespeare's trying to imply.
So, that was pretty funny. This is like, I'm like just dying. We're sitting all the way in the back. It was pretty funny.
It was pretty funny. So this is a good movie. Go see it.
If it is near you. I think it came out in 2012, so I don't know. We
Yeah,
just
it's a
caught
little
it
old.
in it. It's very artsy. It's not like it got a huge release or anything. But if you can find it somewhere, totally do it. If you are in the Indianapolis area, go check it out at the Keystone Arts Theater over in the
Okay,
Fashion Mall.
It came out at the Toronto Arts Festival in September of 2012, but it actually only got wide release in the United States on June 21st, 2013.
Oh, so there we go. I was wondering
So
why
before-
the IMDb credit said 2012, so whatever.
Before just now, I was under the same impression because I'd seen that days back, and I was like, wow, we managed to see a really old, non-topical movie. But it's fairly recently in wide release.
But I totally recommend going to the Keystone Arts Cinema anyway, so I'm
You
not
can drink
taking
while
that
you
back.
watch the movies.
I'm not taking that back in the slightest. So yeah, next week, do we have anything? I'm gonna
Are
go to...
you still interested in Deadpool?
I want to be interested in Deadpool. I'm seeing some things on Twitter that makes me kind of hesitant, but I want to still be into it.
Have you finished reading Deadpool Dead?
I did. I just blew through that in an afternoon. It was okay. I didn't really like it.
Wasn't the best Deadpool you've ever read?
Nah. It wasn't quite on par with the humor of Suicide Kings or anything. Deadpool just sounds like a douche in this one. Like, wacky antics and stupid toilet humor are kind of what I'm in, and the fourth wall breaking, obviously, are kind of what I'm in the Deadpool for, and he's just mostly being kind of mean in this one. So, I wasn't a huge fan. Also, that is way more of Deadpool's ass than I ever wanted to see, and someone had to draw the hairs on his ass for multiple panels.
Hair by hair. Gotta make sure this hair pattern here is consistent with this butt hair pattern here.
Yeah, so that was a little weird. But yeah, no, the humor wasn't quite my taste. So, I didn't really like it all that much. I gave it like 2 stars out of 5, I think, on Facebook.
Woo. We will probably have something.
I'll play a thing. If nothing else, I can talk to you about going to the Taste of Chicago this weekend.
Ooh, Taste of Chicago will be exciting.
That has
I hear
nothing to
they're
do with
having food
nerdiness, but maybe being a food nerd?
I think my deeply held podcast philosophy is to talk about whatever the heck entertains us enough to talk about it for an hour.
Alright, so there's that. I guess we can kill the recording then?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you want to do it until next time?
Yep. So, until next time, I'm Pixie,
And I'm Parasim.
and you've been listening to Nerd Talk and watching. So, thank you, and we'll see you next time.